Today, I have absolutely amazing groundbreaking news. Are you excited for a new type of licensed purchase opportunity? Because ladies and gentlemen, that's what we've got. Today, we are going beyond cosmetics, beyond skins and art crossovers. Today, we get to talk about a whole new type of fear. The idea that entire content blocks of your favorite video games could indeed be replaced with brands, with licensed properties. Because, the line must go up. Money's money. It's gotta go up at all costs. And when it comes to games like Destiny, I think there's no question as to what's the most important thing to the leadership. I've also got big news for the thousands of you who have visited and used our sponsor, Boot.dev, and that news is TypeScript. If you know what that means, you know it's pretty huge. The entire backend learning path is now playable in TypeScript as well as Go. It's funny, Lane, the founder's tweet, basically just reads, "Fine, you win, we've capitulated to the way of soy because enums." And if you're wondering why you should care, well, TypeScript is Microsoft's vastly more powerful JavaScript, static types, fearless refactors, editor autocompletion, lots of lovely things, which is why Google, Slack, and Airbnb use it in production. It lets you catch bugs while you're coding instead of, when the server's on fire. TypeScript's awesome. Now, Boot.dev wraps all of that in the power of an RPG. That means quests, XP, boss fights, real-time leaderboards, community, all of that. You get to enjoy that while you're wiring up databases, building REST APIs, deploying to the cloud, and now doing all that with TypeScript. And by the time you finish your learning path, you will have a portfolio full of back-end projects. You'll have the confidence to dual-wield TypeScript and Go in any gig, which is going to be huge for employers. And there's a bit of a hack to save you the most money. Boot.dev/Bellular News, code Bellular News gets you 25% off with your first purchase. But what you can do is buy the yearly plan for the largest saving, because, 25% of a bigger number is a bigger number. And if you don't gel with it, well, just use the no-risk 30-day money-back guarantee. So we should be talking about Destiny's new plan. But, it's Bungie. They can't catch a break. Their leadership has gutted the company, Marathon's reveal hasn't really gone as planned, and now Destiny has got to try and refocus again. The final shape was a triumph. That was followed by layoffs, and the remaining team had to deliver what was in production before they could reset. Okay, this is the Fate Saga. It's the new thing. It's focused on the mysteries of the universe and the beings who influence it. As for what that means for players outside of the lore sphere, it means 4 expansions on a winter-summer cycle, with the Edge of Fate launching soon. There's gameplay changes already being discussed, which have got like a moving raid-style puzzle thing, which is pretty damn cool actually, updates to regular gameplay, new world tiers for loot, and a general reduction in friction so that people can get straight to activities. And between paid expansions, a free major update for all players will be released, and those will be at the scale of the actually much appreciated Into the Light event. But that's what Bungie wants us to talk about. We can't really talk about that all in the depth that they would want, because despite an hour-long reveal stream for the future of Destiny, the only thing anyone can talk about is the last reveal of the showcase. And, what's happening a long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. This is the Renegade expansion for Destiny 2. Things you'll immediately notice: the sound effects from Star Wars, the weapons that are very explicitly a blaster and a lightsaber, and the big Lucasfilm Games logo at the end of the trailer. And for some people, that's just cool. It's a chance to play out their fantasies in a universe that they really like and see some familiar weapons and familiar tools. But if you ask me, the only familiar tools are Bungie. So as for other people, which probably includes me, well, maybe a little bit on edge. I mean, what do you mean that they're putting Star Wars in Destiny? For a whole expansion, not an event, not just a drop in the store. A situation where everything Destiny could be exploring in its lore and its gameplay is somehow being replaced with an entirely different universe. For a lot of people, that idea is really disappointing, and there are a lot of diehard people who love Destiny for its story and its lore. Just look at IF's viewership figures. I mean, come on, people love that shit. And so if you're going from an expansion where players are digging deep into the foundations of the universe and then straight to Star Wars, that's an immediate shock. But it may not be as bad as was first implied. The stream went into more depth on all this, but the detail didn't really travel as far as the standalone trailer did. Because as it turns out, this is not a Star Wars expansion for Destiny 2. This is a Star Wars inspired expansion for Destiny 2. A officially inspired expansion. It's really strange. So Bungie have been pretty clear about what the expansion looks like, and here's their statement. Dive into the criminal underworld and take down an evil empire. Venture into a lawless frontier and reveal deeper mysteries about a new Dredgen in Soul. Build your power, credits, and notoriety. Ooh, I just love some marketing copy for a video game. So that's how they're framing this, and senior leadership at Bungie have been very quick to reinforce that framing. They basically know that they need to counter the building narrative, that it's the aesthetic tone and vibe of Star Wars, but it's a Destiny story, which I suppose is one of life's small mercies. I guess, though, the idea that the first full year of Bungie's new era for Destiny 2 would end up with something like a crossover instead of something for Destiny, that does feel cheap. I think that would be a step too far, because it's not like Destiny hasn't been influenced by other media before, or hasn't made wholehearted references to things. But there is a difference, right? A reference is a reference, that's fun, that's cute, but this is a licensed partnership, so it is deeper than that. And so it's one thing to have an armor shader and combine sets that make you look like Darth Vader, but it's an entirely different thing to have Darth Vader's armor and play as him in-game. And the timing could not be worse overall for, like, vibes, positioning, copium, all of that, because it's never been easier to compare Destiny to the other live service games. Right now, you can pre-order the big deluxe edition of Destiny 2's new expansion, and you can get skins for Kylo Ren, Darth Vader, and General Grievous. But do you know where else you can play those characters right now? You can do it in Fortnite. Of course, Fortnite has actually just went and replaced an entire season of content with Star Wars. Star Wars everywhere. The map, the loot pool, the battle passes, and lots of the gameplay. It's all Star Wars. It's basically giving people a big Star Wars theme park to play about in, which I guess for Fortnite makes sense. That's kind of like its USP by now. But what's core to today's story is that it's in that context that Bungie had to reveal Renegades. So it's no wonder that audiences immediately made the connection there. It's quite literally the Fortnite-ification of Destiny, and it's not like Destiny was immune to crossovers before. They've been throwing out licensed skins for years at this point, but because that game is Fortnite, and Fortnite has an army of artists making some of the most aesthetically, I think, well-tied-in cosmetics that games have really ever had, it looks and plays great. Meanwhile, though, for Bungie, their artists have had to blend Destiny's aesthetics with Star Wars, and that means you get a compromise. It can look great, and it probably will end up adding some good components for Destiny's fashion-forward players, but it is a compromise nonetheless. It is Destiny being less Destiny, and in a way that's not a random bolt-on event, no, in a way that actually is like the core canon content. Now, this is not a new feeling, but it's one that we've been seeing more and more from more players as licensing really does become the lucrative thing for companies. Because, make no mistake, this is all about the money and it being lucrative. Now, we don't know the deals of this partnership, but usually licenses are paid for by the person who's using them. So how does Bungie make money in this partnership? Because in theory, this expansion can reach, a wider audience than just Destiny fans, especially it can give lapsed people a reason to check back in. Maybe they played it at some point, they like Star Wars, and now feels like a good time. It's the same thing that every game sort of does now, right? From your Helldivers to Diablo to Overwatch. The point is, your addressable audience goes up every time you sign up for one of those deals. Because, hey, if you love the Porsche Macan, obviously what you want to do is buy one for Diva in Overwatch because the world's went fucking mad. Sorry, went a bit off script there. The question, though, is what happens to your existing audience when you do all of this stuff? And how long can this tactic actually work? Even back in January of this year, Destiny got Star Wars skins, but what's important to realize is that this expansion is not a response to those skins selling particularly well. You see, with the trailer assets already made and the Renegades expansion launching in December, there's no way that this licensing agreement wasn't being discussed last year, perhaps even before the final shape even released. Now, we know Bungie leadership have been cutting costs, we know the delays to Marathon were costly, and we know that they're under pressure from PlayStation leadership to get results in line with the very expensive cost of the Bungie acquisition. So, a gamble like this, where they could tempt players who otherwise wouldn't have a reason to play Destiny to come and check it out, you can see how this could pay off big time, at least in their own theory. But if we really want to see the risk-reward game that they're playing here, we gotta look at everyone's favorite company, Hasbro. Hasbro. For some reason, I was going to say it's like they're the Nestle of gaming, but I don't think that makes any sense, other than people really hate both of them. Anyway, they went hard on licensed Universes Beyond sets for Magic the Gathering. They adapted things like Marvel, 40k, and Lord of the Rings, and you know what? Made him a shitload of money. They fundamentally redefined Hasbro's business model for the game, where licensed sets outsold the regular ones by every metric. So commercially, it was brilliant. But what's less measurable is the backlash to those sets. Regular players felt left behind and unable to play the game in, the universe that they actually cared about. The Magic one, not, say, Lord of the Rings or Marvel. And the problem's perhaps especially potent in such a deep game as Magic. These cards were selling to people who weren't necessarily interested in the game underneath. There's a lot of collector stuff going on. Say, in the same way that not everyone who comes to Destiny for Renegades will stick around for the next expansion. So yes, your number may go up for now, but is that the cohort of players that you want to be signaling to the most? Now, the gamble is that some of those people will hang around, but the risk in trying to win those players via licensed properties is that you lose the ones who loved you for what you authentically are in the first place. I mean, the idea of quick, cheap growth, is it sacrificing slower, sustainable development and slower but sustainable growth for stuff that's cheap, that's fast, that looks good in a quarterly report? I do actually think so. Look, it's not impossible for the very talented writers, artists, and designers at Bungie to do something cool with the themes of Star Wars. And I know, whenever I say very talented, a lot of you will think, what the hell are you on about? That they're able to do anything under seemingly the just shit show that company's been in the last while is kind of impressive. Even if this can fit in right alongside the rest of Destiny and, people will love it and all of that, there will be people who see this news and check out entirely, regardless of whether it's Star Wars inspired or not, because to them, it's a leading indicator of a direction that they don't want the game to go in. So Bungie's newest challenge then is convincing those people that this still is the game that they love, that it will continue to be that even when it's dressed up in a costume from something entirely different. But of course, this is only one front of the war for Bungie. The other front is Marathon. And, everything's an extraction shooter. Actually, I'm actually now an extraction shooter. Look, by the time you wake up tomorrow, you may even be an extraction shooter. Marathon's not really had a great time. What's fascinating, though, is Arc Raiders actually seems like it's surprising and delighting people. That's why you should watch this video next, because what's going on with industry trend chasing is properly goddamn fascinating. Especially because Marathon is where Arc Raiders was in June of 2023. But of course, it's coming out this September. There's a big difference in how these games have been made.